Hello, hello, good morning. I just went live, and it just so happened that the Season of Discovery Phase 4 preview video from the official World of Warcraft channel just went live like minutes before I did. So you're going to get my live reaction to this. Really excited to see a lot of this information that's coming out here and what they're going to tell us in this 15-minute video, which of course will be linked in the video description. Let's see.
I'm Clay Stone, Associate Production Director of WoW Classic. Welcome to our Season of Discovery Phase 4 preview. It is time. At long last, we're raising the level cap to 60 and jumping into the endgame. For those of you who have been playing since launch, thank you for going on this journey with us. And to those of you just jumping in, now that the full...
You gotta thank the players who played through Phase 3 and the players who played Rogue in Phase 2, because those players...
level up experience is available. You've picked a great time to join us. I also want to give a massive shout out to everyone who has hopped into our first ever Season of Discovery PTR to help us test and tune all of the changes and additions coming to classes. Your feedback
I want to say, the PTR, it feels like it has been a very good idea. They didn't do PTRs before, and shit came out, and people were not happy. You know, we've already fixed a lot of bugs on the PTR, reported, discovered bugs, reported bugs, seen them fixed in the next build of the PTR. It's been good.
In helping us prepare for what's ahead. That said, even though the PTR was focused on classes, we know many of our eagle-eyed players saw hints at the content changes we're making to Endgame, and it's time for us to talk about some of those today. So, let's take a look at what we'll be covering. We'll kick things off with content at 60, then jump into raid information, followed by some important itemization updates.
They said over 1,000 new items.
As well as some system updates, and more, which you're definitely going to want to stick around for. All right, so whether you're already familiar with Classic era content, or you're experiencing it for the first time with Season of Discovery, or you just want a refresher, raising the level cap to 60 brings with it a ton of new content and things to do, including access to all WoW Classic zones, like the Burning Steppes, Eastern and Western Plaguelands, Silithus, and Winterspring.
Okay, we could access those before.
Finally max out your character talents.
We could access those before. It was just like not that good.
In addition, the Alterac Valley Battleground will also be unlocked. Epic mounts will be available to collect, and more. Also, all of the classic dungeons will now be available, including Scholomance, Strathholm, all 3 wings of Dire Maul, and Blackrock Spire. And because the bosses have stopped spending their time in Phase 3 socializing in the Grim Guzzler Tavern, the second half of the massive Blackrock Depths dungeon. In addition, there just might be one more dungeon surprise we're not going to talk about today, but we're excited for players to discover.
New dungeon?
To a quick note about runes. Since we've had the PTR up for the past few weeks, none of the runes are a complete secret. So we aren't going to be spending a lot of time in this presentation. Strathholm will also be unlocked. Epic mounts will be available to collect,
Valley. Okay.
And more. Also, all of the classic dungeons will now be available, including Scholomance, Strathholm, all 3 wings of Dire Maul, and Blackrock Spire. And because the bosses have stopped spending their time in Phase 3 socializing in the Grim Guzzler Tavern, the second half of the massive Blackrock Depths dungeon. In addition, there just might be one more dungeon surprise we're not going to talk about today, but we're excited for players to discover.
Yeah, that looks like new dungeon.
About runes. Since we've had the PTR up for the past few weeks, none of the runes are a complete secret. So we aren't going to be spending a lot of time in this presentation talking about runes or classes. However, we will be posting a rundown of new runes and class adjustments separately from this video, so please check the official World of Warcraft forums for that. Moving on to raids. As we previously announced, the Molten Core raid will be scaled down to 20 players and will contain adjustments to the boss encounters across the 11 bosses for you to take on. Just going to leave that there. We are very excited for everyone to hop in and get their hands on the brand new revamped Tier 1 sets that now have multiple variants for different specializations and playstyles that each class has access to. Tier sets aren't the only place we've made improvements, with many non-set items also getting a hefty overhaul as well. Lastly, we are excited to announce that we will be having a scalable difficulty system in Molten Core, allowing players to turn up the heat inside and face ever-growing challenges. Some aspects of this system were visible on the PTR, and we've enjoyed listening to speculation and, most importantly, your comments and feedback around this new difficulty system and the potential reward structure. As we've been listening to this feedback, we've wanted to let you know
11 bosses. Lucifron, Magmadar, Gehennis, Gar, Barongeddon, Shazra, Sulfuron, Golemag, Majordomo, Ragnaros. So 11 would imply one additional boss. Interesting.
know that raising the heat level will not affect the quality of rewards. The quality will remain consistent as the difficulty goes up. Instead, it will increase the quantity of rewards, making some of the more valuable drops in the raid appear more often. In general, we don't want to heavily gate the best quality gear behind high difficulty content in Season of Discovery, as we really just—
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've been saying this for so long. You should not, make difficult content and then put the best loot behind the difficult content that only a small percentage of the players can complete. Someone's been watching this. I've made videos about this before and put them on YouTube, and I've said it on stream so many times. When you put the best loot behind bosses that only, a fraction of the players can do, then the rest of the players feel left out and are sad, and you make the experience better for 10% of the players and worse for 90% of the players. Kuja, how's it going? Just tuned in. So far we're 3 minutes into the video. We got new dungeon and we have 11 bosses in Molten Core, which normally there's only 10, so that's cool.
I don't think that's what the season is about. But if you do want to push yourself, you will find additional challenges and perhaps be able to gear up a tiny bit faster. Onyxia's lair has also seen some significant loot overhauls as well.
Okay.
And while Onyxia has misplaced her stockpile of tier 2 helms, she is going to have plenty of juicy loot for you to chase in its place. We are also taking a new approach for raid size with Onyxia, as she will ultimately be tuned to be completed with 20 players, but the allowable raid size is up to 40 players. We love 40-player raiding, but we think it ultimately works best as a soda and pretzels type of content. In other words, the same level of difficulty you come to expect from Classic. So, if you are forming a pickup group,
Zero.
You want to ensure quick success,
the level of difficulty,
you can bring 40 players.
0.
But if you are running with your guild, 20 players may make more sense to maximize your rewards. World bosses have had an interesting history in World of Warcraft, particularly in early versions of WoW, where they were hotly contested and created flashpoints for, let's say, interesting player interactions. While we love this intense competition in Classic 2019, one drawback to the content is that due to its limited availability, it tended to be content that most players never got to meaningfully interact with. We aim to make it—
Holy shit, it's another thing that Simon Eyes said a year ago that should be changed, and now they're doing it. World bosses are insanely exclusive in their 2019 implementation. Let's see what they're doing. They said instanced before. We know this.
Instancing the content off and handling it similarly to what we just discussed with Onyxia. The raids will be tuned for 20, but can be done with up to 40 players to make it friendly to both organized groups and pickup groups. Related to these changes, and to talk all things loot, I'll turn it over to our lead engineer on Classic, Nora Valletta. Take it away, Nora.
Thanks, Clay. We're excited to share some of the cool new loot you'll find in Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. First, let's check out some of the new dungeon loot you'll find in Phase 4. We've got Iron Foe, which has had its level increased to 58 and now grants 18 attack power when equipped. Next, we've got Idol of Exsanguination, which causes your lacerate ticks to energize you for 5 rage.
Okay.
Totem of the
Druid
Plains
item, who
reduces the
cares?
cast time of your healing rain spell by 100%. Taking inspiration from players using the 3-piece set in Sunken Temple for shamans, we thought it might feel bad to completely lose that set bonus as an option. Having it be a totem you can swap on and off for fights made a lot of sense here. Burst of Knowledge has had its item level increased to 58, its spell power increased, and its active cooldown reduced from 15 minutes down to 5 minutes.
Okay,
Finally, we've
okay.
got Libram of Holy Alacrity, which causes Holy Shock to reduce the cast time of your next 2 Holy Lights by 0.2 seconds. Our classic Tier 0
Alright.
dungeon and Tier 0.5
bunch of stuff we don't
dungeon
care about.
upgrade sets have seen a full overhaul as well. In original WoW, a basic dungeon set of 8 items dropped in max level dungeons, and an epic quest chain was introduced in later patches to upgrade those items into a higher quality version of that
We
set.
know about Dark
In
Mantle.
Season of Discovery, this is still true, but the upgrade quest chain will be available right at the launch of Phase 4, and each class is now able to choose between multiple dungeon upgrade set items that accommodate multiple class specializations as they move through the quest chain. While
That's
you
good.
will have to choose which variation of each set you want during the quest line, the other variants will be obtainable via gold and other means once the quest chain is complete, so you will have access to every set for your class if you want to try them all. These
All right, that's good to know. Because when we were on the PTR, we saw like the first step of the quest, and it said pick either the DPS piece or the tank piece, and it wasn't really clear, like, if you would be able to or how you would be able to get the one that you didn't pick. But they just said you're going to be able to get all of them. So good, 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 good.
sets were testable on the PTR, and we've had a blast watching people get excited about both the new stats and appearances of these sets as well. But what about raid loot? Here's a quick look at a few of the items from Molten Core. First up, we've got an awesome looking elemental shaman shield called Earth and Fire. Looks similar to the rank 14 PvP shield, but with a distinct new color variation. We've got Magmadar's right and left claw, which allow you to summon core hounds to aid you in combat. The theme set bonus actually allows you to transform into Magmadar for a brief period of time.
Wait. Hold on. Let's hear that again.
Right and left claw, which allow you to summon core hounds to aid you in combat. The 3 set bonus actually allows you to transform into Magmadar for
Call forth the spirit of Magmadar. Transform into the claw into a Magmadar. Okay, nice. We also saw these in the data mine, but you know we weren't totally sure what exactly was going on with them.
For a brief period of time. But how about Faithbringer, a 2-handed paladin weapon for healing? Or Key to the City, a caster staff from Onyxia. Finally, Obsidian Edgeblade, which has been changed from a +8 to 2-handed swords to a +3. We've added 1% crit with those stats and made it just a tad slower. Our dungeon sets won't be the only color variations you'll see.
Can you show me any item that's good for Rogue, please?
In Phase 4. Here are some of the cool Tier 1 color variations we've got coming soon. Next, why don't we spend a few minutes talking about world events? The Blood Moon is not seeing any major adjustments for Phase 4 and will not be a vector for new items or player power, but it will continue to happen on its normal timer. We wanted to mention this because we are nearing level 60, which means that players will soon have access to the highest level PvP rewards, and many players will be ranking up to get them. In order to help with the honor gain process, we're introducing a new Blood Moon currency in Phase 4. When the new currency is introduced, Bloodstained Commendations will have had their cost reduced from 1 silver coin to 25 copper coins. We envision Blood Moon carrying on as an evergreen supplement to the normal PvP honor ranking process. If you'd like to interrupt your BG queues for a bit of quick, chaotic world PvP, my favorite, you and your group can venture into Stranglethorn Vale during the Blood Moon and supplement your honor farm. Next, we're making some significant adjustments to Nightmare Incursion.
Okay, so they're saying, unlike in Phase 2 and 3 where you had like pre-raid bis or like really good items coming from Blood Moon that you would basically want to grind out, they're saying like that's not going to be a thing in Phase 4. Like there's going to be Phase 4 Blood Moons, but like we're not going to be grinding on every single rogue character for a Gurubashi backstabber.
Shifting the mission quests over to a simpler daily quest format. We really love the overall theming of Nightmare Incursions, but think these adjustments will help make them feel like an optional supplement to normal leveling, rather than the be-all, end-all leveling activity for all new characters. As a result of this format change, we are also planning to tone down the difficulty of some of the creatures within Nightmare Incursions to make these quests a bit more solo-friendly. The experience gained from these activities will cap out at level 53 as well. but the quests will remain available through level 60, should you desire to earn a reputation. Overall, we learned a lot of great lessons for Nightmare Incursions, which we plan on carrying forward for any potential future events.
I hope
Speaking
so.
of future events, for Phase 4's outdoor event, we've taken a few of the lessons learned from previous events and are applying them to a new, more lightweight outdoor event, the Rock Eruption.
Yeah,
This
we
event
saw
will
this.
occur
I
every
tried this on the PTR last time it was up, and we killed a rare spawn in Searing Gorge, and it dropped a fiery core, which is normally a material that you only get inside of Molten Core.
2 hours and see additional spawns, daily quest content, opportunities for reputation gain, and increased honor rewards from World PvP. Outside of Blackrock Mountain, the forces of the Fire Lord are wreaking havoc. Join the Thorium Brotherhood in repelling these attacks with new daily quests to help grow your reputation with the Thorium Brotherhood and earn quicker access to powerful crafting recipes and other rewards.
Yeah, we got Thorium Brotherhood, and we got Hydraxian Waterlord's reputation when we did it on the PTR.
Inside the mountain, you'll find your blood is running extra hot, causing you to gain bonus honor only within the mountain itself. As for reputation, we are adding brand new upgraded versions of the existing crafted rewards from Thorium Brotherhood,
Nice.
Argent Dawn, Timbermaw Hold, and Hydraxian Waterlords. We've also got
Okay, this is good information. Can be created using the base item plus other materials. So it's like, we saw a lot of these items data mined just by like their item name. Like we saw the Devil Core gauntlets and the Devil Core leggings. We saw the like refined Arcanite Reaper or whatever. So they're saying you're still going to craft an Arcanite Reaper, and now you're going to upgrade it into something else. So like Arcanite Reaper plus some other materials into refined Arcanite Reaper. Devilsaur leggings, Devilsaur gauntlets, plus some other materials into Devil Core gauntlets and Devil Core leggings.
some really cool for fun items that allow you to teleport to a Jara, lay a fire resist area of effect that your allies can stand in, or turn you into a water elemental. You'll be able to place these for fun items on your keyring, saving you some valuable bag space. Anyways, I've got some rep to farm, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass things off to our senior producer, Josh Greenfield, who'll be happy to share some of our upcoming systems updates.
Here we go.
Thanks, Nora. Going into Phase 4, we've made a few significant system updates we're excited to share. First up, we took a lot of the lessons we've learned from the Wild Offerings currency and have expanded on that system with a new deterministic currency we're calling Tarnished Undermine Reals. You can start earning these coins from most non-rare spawn dungeon bosses over
Earnable once per day per boss in high-level dungeons. But it still enjoys very favorable... So like every day you want to do a world tour of the dungeons? That seems pretty cool. Once per, like a little bit of incentive to just be running every dungeon every day. So like that'll keep the population of like people who are interested in doing the dungeons high. I'd
level
hope.
55, and each boss will drop a single currency for each player in the group once per day per boss. This currency can be used to purchase a variety of things, such as rare crafting recipes, crafting materials, powerful gear, as well as a variety of other valuable items. We've gotten a lot of feedback from players asking for ways to keep dungeon content relevant longer, and this is one way we're looking at keeping dungeon runs feeling rewarding at level 60. We're also particularly excited about a brand new feature to World of Warcraft Classic, a twice-weekly raid lockout system. One bit of feedback we got early on was that 3-day lockouts on raids was difficult for guild leaders to manage due to the inconsistency of when reset days occurred. In Sunken Temple, we moved the lockout to weekly to add a bit more stability, but we always wanted to revisit this to see if there was a way for us to provide the increased cadence and content
See what they're about to say.
that the 3-day lockout provided, but with a bit more stability and predictability to help with better raid planning. The twice-weekly lockout accomplishes this by having raids using this lockout interval reset twice a week on static reset days. For example, in North America, twice weekly.
Holy shit, there's so many things. There's so many things where I was like, I said they should do this, and now they're doing it. So what are we getting, like a Tuesday, Friday reset or something?
Raids will reset on Tuesday and Saturday mornings. We plan to use this
Cool.
lockout interval for all of the raids in Phase 4. We feel that with the pace of Season of Discovery, this is a great step forward to allow you to raid more if you choose to. At this point, we're approaching the home stretch, but we do have a few more updates to share before we close things out. With Phase 4 and the increase to level 60, players will begin having access to max level world buff effects. In Season of Discovery, we're also planning to add an Alliance equivalent to Warchief's Blessing, the Might of Stormwind. As fun as it was to skulk around the crossroads on our Alliance characters,
Good move. Does not stack with Warchief's Blessing. Man, if they added 2 of these in, and then they made them stack, you would have so many. You'd have Alliance, getting mind controlled by Horde to get the Horde one, but then you'd also, which goes on Classic Era servers, and then you'd have Horde getting mind controlled by Alliance to get the Alliance one. And it's like, I mean, I don't know, maybe you want that to happen and it's ridiculous, or you say that's ridiculous and let's not have it happen. So I think it's good. It's like, does not stack with Warchief's Blessing. Let's
hoping
go.
for a kindly priest to mind control us for a chance at Warchief's Blessing. This should make getting your world buffs a bit less cumbersome for Alliance players. As with previous phases, Discoverer's Delight will continue to function from 50 to 59, providing a 50% experience boost in that level range. We've learned a lot of great lessons about leveling.
Look at
While
this.
we want you to level a little bit faster, there's a lot of content in the 50 to 60 range, and we don't want to
Nightmare Incursion only giving experience up to 53.
totally trivialize the journey in Phase 4. So having a more nominal buff from 50 to 59 makes sense. Characters from 1 through 49 will still enjoy 150% experience increase as well, so it should be super easy to get
Okay,
those
sweet.
Like previous level up raids, Sunken Temple will give a generous amount of XP, so running that while you're leveling could give you a good bump as well. In Phase 4, we plan to allow blacksmiths and leatherworkers to swap their profession specs for a nominal cost. This will not quite be ready for the launch of Phase 4.
That's good. Post Phase 4, oh shoot. Post Phase 4 launch. So like if there's a really desirable recipe, it's gonna be fucking crazy. Cause like the first couple weeks are when the crafting things are like the most desirable. And then it dies down after that, right? But if you can't swap in the first few weeks, if it's coming post Phase 4 launch, that's okay, hold on.
We do plan to introduce it a short time later. Perhaps most excitingly, we've done major overhauls to many iconic in-game crafting recipes, with dozens of recipes replaced or given a method to upgrade into even better versions of their original crafted items. First up, we've got the refined Hammer of the Titans, a two-handed mace with 2.0 speed that has a very hefty...
Please show me a rogue item. I don't believe they've shown a single item good for rogues yet in this video.
the amount of feral attack power. It also retains its classic 3-second stun proc, which will now proc in druid forms. And who could forget the iconic Arcanite Reaper, newly upgraded and refined into a 4.0 speed powerhouse with improved stats and
Any
a very
rogue
fancy
items?
new classicified glow. These are just 2 examples out of many iconic crafting recipes to receive major glow-ups in Phase 4, so get out there and get crafting. Looking to the raid release schedule, in a departure from previous phases, we've decided to space out the unlock of raid content following launch. Azergos and Kazakh will go live 1 week.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is the way to release the raids. I think this is so much better than having the raids available at launch, having people grind for 8 hours and then do the raid while incredibly tired and just like turbo giga race. I think this is so much better.
After launch, with Molten Core and Onyxia the week after that. Phase 4 is going to have a ton of compelling things to do right at 60.
So wait, they said, let me back that up. I think they said Kazakh and Azergos first, 7 days after the phase goes live, and then Molten Core and Onyxia another week after that.
So get out there and get crafting. Looking to the raid release schedule, In a departure from previous phases, we've decided to space out the unlock of raid content following launch. Azergos and Kazakh will go live 1 week after launch, with Molten Core and Onyxia the week after that.
Yep.
Phase 4 is going.
Yep. So when the level cap increases, there will be no level 60 raids available. So you level up, you do your dungeons, you gear up your dungeons, you do your tier 0.5, you do cool stuff. Then on the 18th, which is week 2, Kazakh and Azergos, which are just one and done instanced world bosses, those come up. And then 25th, week after that, Molten Core and Onyxia open up. Okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, you guys in chat, one person saying race is dead, other person saying race is real. I tend to agree with the race is real thing. Like, it seems kind of stupid to watch if, like, the raid race starts with 8 hours of repetitive instance grinding, and then it's like, who completed their repetitive instance grinding first? And has like a 45-minute advantage on the raid. It's like, I think a race is way better if you know, the entirety of the race is exciting to watch and everyone has a equal starting point, which is what's happening here, and I don't believe is what's happening in the previous phases, where it was like, oh my god, you grinded for 8 hours and then did something. It's like, yeah. I think this makes the raid race more real, you know, and exciting than it was before.
Going to have a ton of compelling things to do right at 60, with a lot of new and improved loot to chase. We think that this pre-raid gearing phase is one of the best parts about hitting level 60 on a fresh character.
Absolutely.
And giving that
pre-raid gearing is so fun. You have small bits of content you can do, like dungeon run in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Get a chance at some loot, group up with some people, vibe. It's not hard, you know, it's enjoyable, fun. You get upgrades, boom, boom, boom. You're not immediately going into the raid while undergeared, then getting items that invalidate the dungeons.
Raid best in slot process, a bit of time to breathe, and giving you some worthwhile goals to accomplish ahead of the raids becoming available is very exciting. Should provide you with a lot of great, satisfying gear progression leading up to those raids becoming available.
Hell yeah.
With that, we are done with today's presentation. We appreciate your patience as we're working diligently to get Phase 4 into your hands. We really appreciate all of the participation in our recent PTR releases, and we continue to consume your feedback as we're finishing things up for Phase 4. As always, the WoW Classic development team is incredibly grateful for your support. Thank you for playing with us, and thank you for your feedback and participating and helping us develop this season. We'll see you again when Season of Discovery Phase 4 goes live on July 11th, 2024. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, hold on. Just double checking that there was not a single rogue item spoiled. The closest thing to a rogue item, I believe, was Iron Foe. But you can't cast Mutilate with Iron Foe.
To energize you.
Yup. And none of those are usable by rogues. Shield. Awkward. Oh, these are technically usable by rogues, but again, you can't cast Mutilate with any of these. Alright, we got trolled. They previewed a bunch of items, and they didn't preview a single, like, good rogue item. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest W's on this are... Let's see, they said they confirmed... Okay, here's the summary part. We just watched the video. Summary at the end. They confirmed that you will be able to get all the different versions of your tier 0.5 upgrade set after you complete the full chain. You'll have to, like, spend additional gold or material to get them, but you're not, like, locked into the one choice you make while you're leveling up. They confirmed a new dungeon. They confirmed Alterac Valley will be available. A new dungeon. but they didn't say too much about it, the new dungeon. They said 11 bosses in Molten Core. Old Molten Core only had 10 bosses. There's a new secret boss. They said the difficulty system in Molten Core would award a larger quantity of loot, but the same quality. You get all the same access to items at the higher difficulties. You're not getting better loot, you're getting more loot, which, again, I think is a great way to do it. Onyxia's Lair, they said we could do it with 40 players, but it's tuned for 20. So I imagine with a lot of the more like high-powered performance guilds, they'll like run Onyxia and Azergos and Kha'Zix and Molten Core with like fewer than the recommended number of players, just to like juice the loot distribution. Right? So like their teams of high performance players, they'll like bring 15 players in and do it instead of 20. And then they'll be dividing that loot among 15 people rather than 20. But it's the same loot that you would be getting, if you were a more casual guild and you were doing it with 20 or 30 players or something, right? So you're not getting like exclusive items. I think that's so good. They said Azergos and Kha'Zix are now going to be instanced, so no more like checking them all day and camping the spawn and summoning people and fighting over other people. Like, that's ridiculous. This is good. Let's see. They also said Blood Moon is basically only going to be an honor farm. Won't be a major vector for new player power. So, like, maybe there's, like, one item or something. I don't know. But they seem to say, like, you're not going to be getting player power here. Maybe it's just an honor point thing. Nightmare Incursion's not giving experience beyond level 53. Where did they say that? I know they said that, but this is not the slide. Rock Eruption, every other hour, lasts for an hour each time it does it. You get Thorium Brotherhood reputation, you get Hydraxian Waterlord reputation. System updates. This was interesting. We'll have to see what rewards come from this. The Tarnished Undermine Reel says once per day per boss in high-level dungeons. So basically, every day, if you want to max out the acquisition of this currency, every day you want to run a Solomance, a Lower Blackrock Spire, an Upper Blackrock Spire, a Blackrock Depths, a Dire Maul, whatever. So that should incentivize and bring more players into the dungeons. So you'll have runs happening more often. I think that's good, but like it kind of depends on what you can get with this. Used to purchase materials, items, and more. So maybe there are some items that are like bind on pickup player power things that like you need them and then you don't need them. But if they're going to sell you materials, like maybe you can get an Arcanite bar with 5 Undermine reels or something or whatever. That's a like recurring reason that even a geared character would want to gather these. And I think that's good. You want to provide at least some incentive. Maybe Arcanite bars a little bit too much, but like you want to provide some incentive for a geared and experienced player to still come back to some content. Raid lockout is no longer going to be weekly. A lot of people got bored with Sunken Temple only being able to do it once a week. Like, that was lame. So now raids will reset.
Great step forward to allow you to raid. We feel
Tuesday like they do normally, and then Saturday also. So with a reset Saturday morning, like you could do a Friday evening raid and then a Saturday raid. Friday evening and then like the rest of your weekend also raid. I think that's good, and it's predictable. Like, one thing that was really annoying with the 3-day lockout in Phase 1 and Phase 2 is, like, well, 3 and 7 don't go together. My real life is organized around a 7-day lockout, and the 3-day lockout is, like, it doesn't line up. So it's always a question of, like, oh, when's the raid lockout happening in relation to the real life, like, life rotation, So it's a little confusing. But now, if it's on fixed days, it's like less confusing to keep track of. They say all raids in Season of Discovery will use this lockout interval. Okay. World Buff said new alliance equivalent to War Chief's Blessing doesn't stack with the Horde version. Many of the endgame crafting recipes are upgraded, and there are new ones. Only thing I worry about is collecting world buffs twice a week is going to be a chore. It's probably going to be a chore. I haven't seen anything about, like, how that's going to be in any way easier. Yeah, we'll see.
With dozens of recipes replaced or
items.
given a
Oh, and then I think this is like the last major thing. Raids will be available weeks 2 and 3 of the patch, July 18th and 25th. So they said, so the phase is coming out on the 11th. So that's when, like, you can start leveling up, start gearing up. Then no raids available at that point. On the 18th, they're going to unlock the Kazakh and Azergos raids. Those two, the instanced world bosses. The things that were world bosses, now they're going to be instance raids similar to Onyxia. Then on the 25th, they're going to unlock Molten Core and Onyxia. So I think you're going to have a actual proper, like, pre-raid gearing phase. You're not just jumping into the raids immediately and invalidating all of your dungeon loot. So I think that's very good and very, very hype. And yeah, that's the summary. I put this in the stream chat, and for the VOD upload of this live review, it's going to be in the video description of that as well. And during that review, I mentioned many times that, oh, these are things that I have talked about before. These are suggestions that I have made before. Let me give you some dated video proof of that. Let me see. Raids too hard. Simonize. Is classic WoW too hard? This one talks about how I think about raid difficulty as well as rewards in the raids. And then, see, how to fix classic. This one was even older. How to fix classic. Simonize. I don't know if I have the title on this one right. All right, we're gonna have to go into the ancient videos here. This one's an old one. From before the Season of Discovery days. Yeah, here we go. Changes to make classic WoW better. Then came back for Cataclysm. Yeah, we talked about classes need to be rebalanced. Do not award better loot for harder modes of the bosses. And then at the end of this, I'm like, maybe we allow more quantity, but not better loot, which is exactly what they ended up doing. Servers, they didn't really fix this. They kind of did, because they made the servers have higher capacity now in Season of Discovery to be able to tolerate more people. World boss changes. I talked about how the world bosses were, like, way super duper exclusive, and they identified the problem and they went with a different solution than I did. Legendary drops, attunements, dual spec good, PvP gear. Oh yeah, this I had a good slide for this one. Look at this. Look at your weapon progression if you obtain the rank 14 weapons. They're just the best weapon until you literally kill the last boss in the game. Yeah, they said they're delaying, you know, delaying access to the rank 14 weapons so this doesn't happen again. These are like your PvE weapon upgrades, and then it's like, oh, if you're going to be rank 14, here's your weapon progression. It isn't. There isn't a weapon progression. Cool. Cool. We're all done now.